And welcome back to the Northeast Florida Surf Fishing Forecast for January 15th through the 17th. This video was taken by the Jacks Beach Pier Thursday afternoon. As you can see, it's what we call Lake Atlantic when we have a lot of west wind. Very clean water, guys. I was working and ran out of time, so I wasn't able to get down all the way to the beach. But the water, from my vantage point, was very clear. There were a couple of people fishing, didn't see them catching anything, but it is very clean. That may change in the next few days as we discuss the wind pattern coming up. But right now, it's as smooth as you'd want it. This kind of weather in the springtime around April and May would absolutely be perfect for pompano and trout in the Northeast Florida area. When the Jacks Beach Pier is open in April and May, those months, we catch numerous big speckled trout on a float rig, as well as pompano. So for the guys who haven't ever fished the pier that live in this area, when it's finally open, we'll get out there and we'll have fun. And now this video was taken from a friend, Mr. Steve. He was south of Jacks Beach. Just wanted to show you, he did well on the whiting. He caught some nice ones. But there's a nice little slough he's fishing here, right up along the beach, probably about 4 to 5 foot deep. And on a bright sunny day, those fish come in there. They do get a little bit warmer, but they're feeding in there looking for small sand fleas. Just because we can't find the sand fleas right now doesn't mean they're not here. Walking in what we call the picnic tables area, I found tons of little sand flea shells. But as I was saying, the sand fleas are still there. They're just buried down deep on really warm days that we get in the winter, which have been far and few between here lately, which is a good thing, guys. The colder the winter really helps the spring bite. When it's a really cold winter and the fish aren't eating as much, when it does warm up to about 64, 65 degrees, we absolutely crush the whiting, big whiting. They wake up and they're hungry. But what you can do is walk along the shore where there's a bunch of coquina. Just look for the sand flea shells. That's where the sandpipers are finding them and eating them right there. So if you can dig down. Sometimes this time of year, I'll find them 2 to 3 foot down. So that's why I freeze them in November when they're still abundant, because I don't want to have to dig down 2 to 3 foot to find 5 or 6 sand fleas in each hole. It takes a while, and it's valuable fishing time that you could be catching fish. But the whiting have very slowly been biting. I've mentioned the Diet Pepsi. The thing is with that, I probably should have mentioned earlier, when the water is 57 degrees like it is in Jacks Beach, there's not a whole lot that's going to entice these fish to eat. The fish are holding in deeper water right now, unless we get those bright sunny days, and then some of the stragglers will come in and eat. But right now, most of the fish are being caught like in the Sound, Nassau Sound, the Volano Inlet. You got to find that deeper water. They're holding in that deeper water. I've talked to a few people who live on the on Mayport. They're catching nice whiting off their docks in 20 foot of water. So if that gives you any indication, the whiting are deeper. The shrimp boats that are right off the beach, they're still wearing out the shrimp. They're also catching whiting. When the shrimp are out there, that's where the whiting will also be. So the sooner the shrimp get off the beach and get out of here, that may also help to bring the whiting back in shallow so they can look for some more sand fleas and other stuff that they're starving for. But we're looking at the forecast for the next few days, guys. Looking at Friday, you got south 10 to 20 miles an hour with higher gusts. Fronts coming through, a little bit of chance of rain, not much. And then on Saturday, you're looking at west 15 to 25 with higher gust. It's going to be chilly in the 50s. And then Sunday, west 10 to 15. So that clean water I mentioned, depending on what the south wind, if the south wind stays under 10 miles an hour, we'll be good. But if it gets up to 20, it will probably get dirty. And unfortunately, a west wind with gusts of 30 will typically dirty up the water. So I will try to get an update for you guys Friday afternoon, because if the water is still clean Friday afternoon when the front has come through, then it should stay fairly nice even with the west wind on Saturday and Sunday. But like I said, the water temperature in Jacksonville Beach right now is 57 degrees. It's actually dropped. It dropped 1.5 degrees since Tuesday, I believe. And now in Flagler, it's 60, 61. Daytona 62. Melbourne 68. So last Tuesday in Melbourne, it was 72 degrees. So it's dropped 4 degrees. So even when we get the warm days, say we get a day where it's 70 degrees, we think, oh man, the fish should be biting great. Well, what are those night temperatures? Because that's really what determines the water temperature. If we're consistently having the night temperatures in the, say, upper 30s and mid 40s, the water is not going to rise. And I do landscaping as well. So with the grass, the same concept. We could have 70-degree days for a week straight, but if the night temperatures are in the 30s or 40s, the grass does not grow. Same with the water temperature. The cold night temps is what keeps that water low. Once those night temperatures start hovering in the 50s, mid 50s, that water temperature will start to rise. It'll get up to like 63, 64 with the warm days. So it's coming. We're about almost to the midway point of January, or we are past the midway point coming up. Friday's the 15th, so we're almost there. And then we'll be on to February, but until then, you can try for the whiting. If it's me, I would try to fish in deeper water. If not, head into the Ponte Vedra area and fish the deep trough. And fish close to the shore. Those fish are in there. When my buddy Steve was catching them on the beach, he was in pretty shallow, and that fishing in about a 4 to 5 foot trough right up along the beach, using fresh shrimp. The fish bites are still producing. And since the last time on Tuesday we had a report, I haven't heard of anything else being caught but whiting. So we'll see what happens. I know in the Nassau area they're still catching sheephead and drum. And that's about it. Volano area, you got the inlet right there, the rocks. Saw a few people post up reports. They fished there. The water is beautiful, no bites. So don't get discouraged, guys. It's not necessarily something you're doing wrong, but when the water gets cold like this, the fishing becomes tougher. So I haven't even hit the surf in a couple of weeks. I've been fishing the river. Speckled trout and redfish are fired up. Good thing is the speckled trout love this cold weather. But the weird thing is the water's colder in the river than at the beach. Yet along the beach, the trout disappear when the water hits about 65. In the river, when it hits 65 and below, man, they go absolutely nuts. The real problem is right now is when we buy the live shrimp, they're so sluggish that you got to pop it. When we're using float rigs, I'll show you how to. There's a few videos on my page on how we set that up, but it's very simple. I'll try to get something up with all the tackle that I use. Simple, guys. Easiest rig to use, and you can catch everything on it. But we pop that cork to move the shrimp, and that's when we get a lot of the hits. So that's with the local shrimp they're getting. They're real sluggish. The bait stores will soon start carrying the shrimp from the West Coast. And those little guys are like little bulldozers, short and stubby. But the cold weather doesn't really slow them down as much. They seem to be more active. So once they get in here, the trout will really be tearing them up. I'm not really a guy that throws artificials for trout. I like the live bait, but a lot of the guys throwing artificials are doing well too. So that's your thing. Find a good creek in the along the river where it empties out, or find these areas where it goes shallow to deep, little drop off. And that's where they're at. We've been catching a lot of mullet in our net, throwing for bait. The only thing hitting them is reds. So far, the trout have stayed away from them. We are throwing the shrimp and catching trout, and we'll throw a mullet in the same spot where we're catching trout, not a bite. So they're focused in on shrimp, guys. And if you want pompano, you still got to head south. head down to Melbourne, maybe even past Melbourne now. Those pompano will get moving. And if you go down there and you don't have sand fleas in your freezer, load up while you're down there and bring them back and freeze them. So in the spring, when it starts warming up, you'll already have sand fleas before they show up here, because the whiting will eat them in the spring. And with that being said, that's all I got for you. Don't forget, if you get bored and don't have anything to do on Saturday, drive down and check out the Fish Bites Trading Post. Has tons of cool stuff and every fish bite flavor known to man. So if you go, ask for Brett, tell him Spencer sent you, and he'll show you around. With that said, guys, tight lines.